All right. Thank you, Megan. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back virtually. Oh, goodness. To our members and viewing audience to this special called meeting of the Kentucky Board of Education. Just a few notes to announce about conducting virtual meetings. The meeting must comply with the requirements of the Open Meetings Act. Therefore, KBE members must ensure their video is streaming and that they can be seen throughout the duration of the meeting. Members, please mute your microphone when not talking, but remember all discussions must be broadcast to the public, so be sure your microphone is not on mute when you're ready to speak. Every time you speak during the meeting, please unmute your mic, state your name, and take a short pause to give the camera feed time to show your picture. For any items that require a vote, a roll call vote will be necessary. And so Meredith will call the roll at that time. You as the member should state your name, pause, and say, I vote yes or I vote no. At this time, like I did, please silence all other electronic devices that may cause disruption to the audio feed for today's meeting. Thank you again for being here. And Meredith, I think Soliana thought I was kidding, but today is Soliana Mesfin's birthday. So as you call the roll, board members, if you would like, please take a chance to say happy birthday to Soliana as your name is called.
Joanne Adams.
This is Joanne Adams. I'm here, and happy birthday, Soliana.
Claire Batt.
This is Claire Batt, and happy birthday, Soliana.
Holly Bloodworth.
This is Holly Bloodworth. Happy birthday.
Jamie Bowling.
Jamie Bowling, and I am here, and a very happy birthday to Soliana.
Alvis Johnson.
Alvis Johnson, I'm here. Happy birthday, Soliana. And I hope you have many, many more.
Patrice McCrary.
Patrice McCrary, I am here, and I'm wishing you the happiest of birthdays, Soliana.
Randy Poe.
This is Randy Poe, and happy birthday, Soliana.
Lee Todd.
This is Lee Todd, and happy birthday, Soliana.
Lou Young.
This is Lou Young. I am present. Happy birthday, Soliana, and I can't wait to hear the commissioner and Meredith sing happy birthday to you later in the roll call.
Amanda Ellis is here for Dr. Thompson. So Amanda.
Amanda Ellis, present, and happy birthday, Soliana.
And then Soliana Mesfin.
I am present. Thank you, board members, and I am also waiting for that commissioner and Dr. Brewer. That would be amazing. Thank you all.
Allison Sloan.
This is Allison Sloan. I am present. Happy birthday, Soliana. I'm super proud of you today and always.
And then Lieutenant Governor Jacqueline Coleman. And Lieutenant Governor, we are wishing Soliana happy birthday today when we are doing our roll call.
If you want me to sing, I will. I'm just kidding. I will not.
All right.
All right.
You do have a quorum, and very happy birthday, Soliana. We are very glad that you get to spend your birthday with us.
Yes. Happy birthday.
Excellent. Happy birthday. How old are you?
17.
Oh, I remember those days, just like yesterday. All right, so as we move into the action for today's meeting, the first item is approval of request to waive section 702 KAR 7:125 regarding pupil attendance. And with us today are Associate Commissioner Dr. Kelly Foster and Division Director David Cook.
Good afternoon. Thank you. I'll start us off a little bit about this waiver request and then hand it over to David to see if there's anything that he would like to add. But as the chair mentioned, we are bringing to you all today with the commissioner's recommendation for the approval of proposed waiver 702 KAR:125 pupil attendance in order to provide necessary flexibility for our districts seeking to provide virtual learning options for the 21-22 school year. And so that is the first piece. The second piece is that as of today, or as of the writing of the staff note, we had 109 districts that have put in for this waiver, but we're also asking the Kentucky Board of Education to allow the commissioner to approve any future waivers of 702 KAR 7:125 as they come in with local boards having meetings around different times and making those approvals and then sending them through your superintendent. So we're asking for your approval of the 109 today and also giving the commissioner the authority to approve additional ones as they come in. And at this time, I will turn it over to David and he'll talk to you a little bit more about the specific waiver.
Thank you, Dr. Foster. Good afternoon, everyone. It's good to be with you as always. As you know, there were many things that happened because of the pandemic, but one of the things that happened was districts had the opportunity to create some really powerful and high quality virtual programs during the pandemic. And they had the opportunity to do that because of the combination of the governor's executive orders and emergency regulations that this body approved. Unfortunately, all of those wonderful opportunities ended with the 2021 school year, and we kind of reverted back to virtual instruction as it was prior to the pandemic, which in many cases was a much different kind of approach with a lot of sitting in front of the computer kind of opportunities that we had prior to that, although we did have a lot of districts doing some very, very high quality things. That amount of districts doing high quality things escalated obviously during the pandemic. And so what's happened is we have districts sitting in a sort of a vacuum of not having any authority to do some of the things they had been doing during the pandemic. And the truth is they still are going to have students and families who want their students to continue to participate in virtual opportunities in the fall of 21. And we just didn't have the regulation in which this falls didn't give us enough of the flexibilities that districts had sort of created for themselves during the pandemic because of the executive orders and the emergency regulations. So what's coming before you is a waiver of the pupil attendance reg, in essence, so that we can recognize virtual learning opportunities under the attendance policies of a district. So a district can get pupil attendance credit for students doing these high quality programs that I talked about. You'll notice in the staff note that this is a very heavy assurance laden waiver request, which is really important and really helpful. It basically, if you're a superintendent and you sign this set of assurances, you better be doing the highest quality virtual programs you could possibly do, because it's laying out a lot of stuff that you have to fall in line with. The other piece of it from a actual regulation perspective is normally in a regular attendance day for kids in person, elementary students only have to be counted in attendance one time. High school students and middle school students are done by class period. In this waiver request, the districts are agreeing to do their elementary kids twice a day, that are the virtual kids twice a day instead of once a day, just to give us a better shot. And they're going to do that first thing in the morning and then in the first thing in the afternoon. So we'll have a ability to say they're there, and we have acknowledgement of that. So the biggest reason for this, there's two reasons for this waiver. The first is the executive orders and the emergency regs gave us the ability to give elementary students virtual opportunities, because those did not exist at all prior to the pandemic. We only had middle school and high school opportunities available. So this does bring it down so that if there are students in a district whose families want them to continue in a virtual setting, they can continue in a virtual setting. The second piece to what it does is it as I mentioned, creates a deeper, more attendance-based way to look at virtual learning. Prior to the pandemic, it was all performance-based, which basically meant, for an easy way of looking at it, pass-fail. So you did the virtual course. If you passed it, the district got attendance credit for you and funding credit. This does it more like a regular student who's sitting in person. So there'll be daily attendance taken, and that will run through the average daily attendance process just like anybody else. So I appreciate the fact that this was a full-blown KDE effort. OET, Office of Education Technology, David and his team, Marty Park and Ben Maynard, really jumped into this one. OFO, Robin Kinney's folks helped us with attendance, helped us with food service assurances. So we feel like we had some really high quality applications that came in, and as I said, because of the assurances, I think there's a lot of stuff behind this. So districts are already being asked to set a high bar for their virtual programs for next year. But this is a stopgap. We hope as a KDE team to look at the regulation. Didn't have time to look at the regulation right now. Didn't want to think about it as an emergency thing. So we brought the waiver to you. Gets us through 21, 22, and then we give us time to bring back to you potential revisions to the regulation for future years.
Excellent, David. That was my question about what happens after the waiver period as we move forward. So it sounds like you guys with Ed Technology are starting to gear up toward that regulatory change to make that more permanent.
Right. That's right, Chair.
So board members, you have a staff note. You have that information. You'll see the 109 districts listed. But before we go into opening a motion, what questions might you have for David or Kelly or Associate Commissioner Couch or any of the KDE members that are here? All right, that's a good sign.
Well, this is Claire Batt. I have a question. I've talked to a couple of people who have been excited about the potential of going to a virtual learning model for schools as a regular offering. Could you talk a little bit about what criteria you use to categorize something as a high quality virtual program? I'm just curious as to what you're seeing in place that you would.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I think the easiest way to answer that and for you to review is if you look at the assurances, those assurances are really what makes this a high quality situation, because the things that are in those assurances are talking about how instruction occurs, the interaction between the teacher. And so in other words, the district is assuring that they're going to have very high levels and high percentages of interaction between teachers and students. They're going to have particular kinds of activities that are being done that can be collected and measured for learning.
I would call your attention, Claire, to assurances 8, 9, and 10. Get more into that, and then there's a link for the Kentucky Digital Learning Guidelines. Oh, no, it looks like it's a hot link, but it's actually not.
That's a good catch there. I didn't realize that in the staff note we didn't make it a hot link. Looks like it is, but it isn't. But yes, to your point, Chair and Ms. Batt, that those are the ones that talk about how we're going to deal with students with disabilities, how we're going to deal with in general the curriculum instruction of these students. So the way that I like to look at this is these are requiring of people a higher level. One of the things that we should point out is if a district wants to continue to do the type of virtual learning they did prior to the pandemic in a performance-based way, they can still do that for high school students. They don't have to get a waiver for that because that opportunity still exists. This is a higher bar. This is developing a program that's a different level of something that we saw districts doing during the pandemic. When they really built high quality programs as a result of the situations they found themselves in. They just want to continue them, and they don't want to sit back and go back to, 25 kids in a computer lab doing, virtual learning or doing it from home in a much less connected way to teachers and staff. So,
and I would call your attention to Mr. Allen's comment in the chat too, that these are not places where students are sent to get them out of school. This is on a volunteer basis on the part of students.
They apply to the district leader. The family asks to be in this situation.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. At this time, I would ask the board to entertain a motion to approve the request to waive 702 KAR 7:125 pupil attendance and prospectively approve any further waiver of the same regulation for those other districts that have not yet sent in their request. That occurs by application to the commissioner from a superintendent acting at the direction of the local Board of Education for the expressed purpose of providing necessary flexibility for a district seeking to provide virtual learning options during the 2021-2022 school year. Do we have such a motion?
Madam Chair, I will make that motion. A lot of work has gone into this. I think it's, so I'll make the motion that we waive that.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. We have a motion for Mr. Johnson. Do we have a second?
This is Patrice McCrary. I do second that.
Thank you. On that motion and second, before we call the roll, do we have any further items for discussion? All right, hearing none. Dr. Brewer, please call the roll.
Joanne Adams.
This is Joanne Adams, and I vote yes.
Claire Batt.
This is Claire Batt. Yes.
Holly Bloodworth.
This is Holly Bloodworth. I vote yes.
Jamie Bowling.
This is Jamie Bowling, and I vote yes.
Alvis Johnson.
This is Alvis Johnson. I vote yes.
Patrice McCrary.
This is Patrice McCrary. I vote yes.
Randy Poe.
This is Randy Poe. I vote yes. And thank you, David.
Lee Todd.
This is Lee Todd, and I vote yes.
Lou Young.
This is Lou Young. Happy birthday, Soliana. I vote yes.
Chair Young, all members present have voted.
All right, thank you so much. The other item for your consideration today is discussion and approval of our own Kentucky School for the Blind and Kentucky School for the Deaf recommendation to accept requests for the supplemental school year. For this item, we have Division Director Carol Ann Morrison with us to provide an overview of the request, along with Executive Advisor Thomas Williams, with the Kentucky School for the Deaf Principal Toya Roby, and the Kentucky School for the Blind Principal Peggy Sinclair Morris.
Thank you, Chair Young. Good afternoon to everyone. I think Thomas is going to pull up just a few slides for me that we're going to share with you. So I'll wait for him to get those shared. Excellent. Thank you, Thomas. And so as Chair Young said, I'm here to share with you some information about the supplemental school year program for Kentucky School for the Blind and Kentucky School for the Deaf. Just to give you a little background with Senate Bill 128, this was emergency legislation that was signed into law on March 24th of this year, and it created the supplemental school year program. So this allows any K through 12 student enrolled during the 2020 through 2021 school year to request to use the 2021-2022 school year as a supplemental year, with the purpose of that supplemental year being to retake or supplement courses the student has already taken in the previous year. The students had until May 1st to submit a request to participate in the supplemental year program, and those requests were to go to the local Board of Education, and then the local board has until June 1st to decide whether to accept all the requests or none of the requests for that supplemental school year. And so as the managing board for KSB and KSD, that's why we are bringing that to you all today. I'm ready for the next slide. Thanks, Thomas. So at KSB and KSD, the supplemental school year request form was sent out to parents and students. We utilized electronic communication as well as posted that on both of the schools' websites. And some of the parents also received that through snail mail, through handwritten copies. And then we had 13 total requests received. 7 of those were from Kentucky School for the Blind and 6 were from Kentucky School for the Deaf. And we had requests ranging from kindergarten students all the way through 12th grade. We had 7 requests from the middle and high school and 6 from elementary school students. And we included in your documents an implementation plan for the schools for this supplemental school year. And we do plan to follow the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA, and its implementing regulations to ensure that each student is provided a free, appropriate public education, which we call it FAPE. And we will do this through the Admissions and Release Committee process. So we will have ARC meetings for each of the students that requested this supplemental year, if approved. And we will make sure that we, through that ARC process, we determine the individualized programming needs for each student. We did have staff within our office consult with school principals to ensure that both schools are prepared to provide the supplemental year to students, and they are prepared. We talked about adequate staffing, dorm preparations. We also talked about food service and transportation, and we feel confident that we are able to provide this supplemental year for the students that have requested that. That is all that I have to share with you, Chair Young, but I am happy to take questions from you or anyone else on the board that may have those. And I also have the principals here that can assist with questions as well.
Thank you so much, Carol Ann. While we have this team together from KSB and KSD and the department, board members, do you have any questions or any further information? Please note that you do have a copy of the implementation plan in the portal along with this item.
Board Member McCreary has her hand up, Madam Chair.
Oh, thank you. Yes, Patrice, please.
I'm curious to know how this would affect, or if it would in any way, the 21-year-old cutoff for our students.
That may be a Meredith question. Or a Todd question.
Carol Ann, did you want to address, so with the 21 cutoff, schools are able to utilize ESSER funds for any financial concerns that, they won't be able to have access to IDA funds after age 21, but they would be able to use ESSER funds for this purpose. But I will let General Counsel Allen address the FAPE question.
Yeah, thank you. So Senate Bill 128 provided for the supplemental year, and it provided for the ability for students who are current seniors to come back and repeat a year, but it didn't specifically extend the 21-year-old age limit for SEEK funding to flow to the school district, or of course it wouldn't have any impact on IDEA, which is federal law, because the state General Assembly can't make a change to federal law. So there are a few provisions to kind of read together. A student who is over 21 years old, the district, or in this case KSB and KSD, can provide those services to them voluntarily. They would have to use other funds, which is, as Ms. Morrison has indicated, ESSER federal funds, emergency funds could be used for that purpose, although IDEA funds could not be used. And allow that student to continue forward. But Senate Bill 128 did not specifically provide for an option or a right, I guess I should say, for those students who are beyond 21 to continue forward. I hope that answers your question. I'm happy to clarify.
So, Patrice, we might ask Toya and Peggy if there are, in fact, older seniors in the 7 middle and high school student requests for KSB and KSD.
So, and Chair Young, I'll just share with you that we do range in ages throughout those middle and high school requests, but I don't want to get to specific age or numbers just because there's so few requests. I don't want to identify any specific student at the schools, but we do have a range of different ages and grade levels through there.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that caution.
Thank you.
Chair Young, perhaps just a little bit more information. I'm also wondering, looking at the big picture down the road, once we add this additional year, are there parents anticipating that there will be a 22nd year because of this additional year?
That's a great question. And we've actually had that question from some parents and have tried to help clarify. So I'll just give you an example. If a student were in 2nd grade this school year and they have requested the supplemental school year, that gives them the 1 additional year next year to repeat 2nd grade. That doesn't add anything to their FAPE provision that would occur later on. Does that help to answer your question?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you. That is the answer to my specific question. Thank you.
Great.
Chair Young, it looks like Board Member Sloan has her hand up.
Oh, thank you. They're definitely not showing on my side, so I appreciate the assist. Allison.
Thank you, Commissioner Glass. You mentioned in the things that you were going to do for those students that decide to stay back another year, having an ARC. Is this in addition to their annual review? And if it is, what would be the purpose of those meetings?
The purpose would be so that we could discuss the supplemental year, what that would look like for that individual student, and make sure that we have the appropriate programming in place. So this would be in addition to their annual review, unless, if their annual review is due at the same time, it might all occur simultaneously. But it would be a meeting that we set specifically to discuss the programming for this.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, am I missing any hands, or if anyone would like to unmute and ask any questions, please feel free.
Do not see any other hands, Chair Young.
All right, thank you to the whole team for your consideration for the process and for the information today. So at this time, I would ask the board to consider a motion to approve the Kentucky School for the Blind and Kentucky School for the Deaf requests to participate in the supplemental school year program and the proposed implementation plan. Do we have such a motion?
This is Randy Poe. I make the motion.
Thank you, Dr. Poe. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
This is Jamie Bowling. I make a second.
Thank you, Mrs. Bowling. Having a motion and a second, is there any further discussion on this item? Thank you. Dr. Brewer, please call the roll.
Joanne Adams.
This is Joanne Adams, and my vote is yes.
Claire Batt.
This is Claire Batt. I vote yes.
Holly Bloodworth.
This is Holly Bloodworth. I vote yes.
Jamie Bowling.
This is Jamie Bowling. I vote yes.
Alvis Johnson.
This is Alvis Johnson. I vote yes.
Patrice McCrary.
This is Patrice McCrary. I vote yes.
Randy Poe.
This is Randy Poe. I vote yes.
Lee Todd.
This is Lee Todd, and I vote yes.
Lou Young.
This is Lou Young. I vote yes.
Chair Young, all members present have voted.
All right, thank you so much. Again, board, I appreciate your indulgence of this time-sensitive matter and the necessitated calling a special called meeting before our regular meeting in June. We really appreciate your time. This may be one of our swiftest and most efficient meetings, and unless we blow it at roll call, nobody tried to speak while muted today. So this could be a banner day for us. Meredith, would you, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
This is Lee, so moved.
Excellent. And a second?
This is Joanne, I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Dr. Brewer, would you please call the roll?
Joanne Adams.
This is Joanne Adams. I vote yes.
Claire Batt.
This is Claire Batt. Yes.
Holly Bloodworth.
This is Holly Bloodworth. I vote yes.
Jamie Bowling.
This is Jamie Bowling, and I vote yes.
Alvis Johnson.
I am not voting until Commissioner Glass sings happy birthday. And if you'll do that,
It's
I'll.
a hostile takeover.
Maybe we'll do it when we're off the live stream.
I did vote yes.
Patrice McCreary.
This is Patrice McCreary, and I vote yes, and I hope the remainder of your day is a wonderful one, Soliana.
Randy Poe.
I vote yes, and thank you, Alvis, for not making him sing.
Lee Todd.
This is Lee. I vote yes.
Lou Young.
This is Lou Young. I vote yes.
All right, Chair Young, the meeting is adjourned.
All right.